Good evening and welcome to the December 20th, 2023 meeting of the Roseville City Council. We'll call the meeting order and I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Here.
Councilmember Elverd.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Here.
And Mayor Hildesheldt.
Here.
Thank you, all members present.
Yep. I would like to ask Monique Brown to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Now I'll ask the city clerk to announce the meeting procedures.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening and welcome everyone to the City of Roseville's regular City Council meeting. Agendas are available at the end of the staff table to your right or online on the city's website. All comments from public should be directed to the City Council and not to staff or any member of the audience. All speakers must speak from the podium as this meeting is being recorded tonight. For comments on non-agendized items, members of the public may address the City Council regarding any item not listed on tonight's agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of our City Council. Public comments on non-agenda items will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The collective initial period for public comment is limited to 25 minutes. Any speaker that did not have the opportunity to speak during this segment due to time limitations will be able to speak at the end of the meeting prior to City Council comments. As a reminder, the Brown Act prohibits our City Council from taking action, debating, or discussing any item that is not listed on tonight's agenda. For comments that are listed on the agenda, speakers will have 5 minutes to provide input that should be relevant to the item appearing on the agenda. Time will be monitored, and once the red light begins to flash at the podium, we ask that the speaker please conclude their comments. Lastly, if addressing the City Council tonight, please consider stating your name for the record. Thank you for your civic participation tonight, and welcome to the City of Roseville.
Thank you, Carmen. Next, we will take public comment on items that are not on the agenda. Do we have anyone who wants to make public comment on non-agenda items?
Good evening, council members and city manager, city clerk. My name is Muriel Moore, you know that, and I am a city employee, you know that, okay, as a crossing guard. So my comment is going to be for the council, but more in terms of what's being done, what is not being done and should be done in terms of safety. The word, and I have some, and that's for tree trimmers and for those that are the contractors that are getting the leaves up, okay? So this pertains to them, and my position as a crossing guard, okay, for the city, that the tree trimmers and or the leaf people, that they are picking up those leaves and are trimming trees when it's at the height of the school children passing and or especially on Junction, and I'm speaking of Junction. So I have written up something that I'm going to read, and it's short, okay, that should be put into the city manual post haste, and it says, no contractor shall impede or supersede the job work of an on-duty city employee if their work is of danger to the public. And the work of those contractors, which are not city employees, do pose a danger to the public as it does to the crossing guard standing there, cutting the tree down right as, or the tree limbs down right as a crossing guard is standing there, or because they say they're on a time schedule. The safety of the public comes first, and they should not be in confrontation with a city employee in terms of not following that to keep children and the other public safe. I hope I've made myself clear on that. Okay.
Thank you, Muriel, and we'll certainly staff will follow up with that. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. Anyone else, public comment on non-agenda items?
have another one. Can I do two?
You can do the second one at the second part. We'll get through the meeting pretty quickly.
Okay.
We'll do it later, okay? And then somebody will take me to the woodshed and tell me that I could have let you do it twice, but, we're going to move on to the consent calendar, and I'll request the city clerk announce the procedures for the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All matters on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one motion of the city council. There will be no discussion on consent calendar items unless a member of the city council, staff, or a member of the public requests that a specific item be pulled for further discussion. At this time, council has not made such a request. However, we did have a request by staff to pull item 6.6 to remove it from this agenda and continue it to the January 17th city council meeting. At this time, is there any member of the public that would like to pull an item for further discussion tonight? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, the city council will consider consent calendar items 6.1 through 6.5 and 6.7 through 6.23. May I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Elverd.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshelt.
Yes.
Thank you.
That moves us to item 7.1, our boards and commissions biannual vacancies, and I'll ask Carmen to make a presentation on that.
Thank you,
Or
Ms.
I'll ask staff to, I'm sorry, I'll ask the city, yes, I will ask for a presentation on that.
Thank you, Mr.
From the
Mayor.
city clerk's office.
It's over to Katrina.
Good evening, Mayor Haldeshelt and City Council members. My name is Katrina Six. I am the City Clerk Technician for the City Clerk Department. I am here tonight to present to you the Board and Commission's biannual vacancies. We currently have vacancies on the Board of Appeals, the Senior Commission, and the Transportation Commission. For the Board of Appeals, we do have one vacancy, which would make one member eligible to be appointed for a 4-year term expiring December 31st, 2027. For the Senior Commission, we do have one vacancy for one member to be appointed. There were 3 applicants. This is going to be for a final open term, which is anticipated to be 3 years, and this is due to a future consolidation. This term will be expiring on December 31st, 2026. And lastly, for the Transportation Commission, we do have 3 vacancies, which means you will appoint 3 members out of the 9 applicants that we received. This is going to be for a term expiring on December 31st, 2027. The recommendation before you tonight is to vote and appoint members to fill the current vacancies on the Board of Appeals, the Senior Commission, and the Transportation Commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Katrina. With that, the council has received their ballots, and we'll start off with the council making a selection for the Board of Appeals.
You're
So-
going to just ask to open public comment first,
Sorry.
just before the vote.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we'll open public comment on this item. Anybody wish to address the council on this item? Seeing or hearing none, we'll proceed with the vote.
Thank you. With that, the council has received their ballots. If you could please make your selection and pass your ballots down to me. Thank you very much. And we'll start off with Vice Mayor Bernasconi. The selection has been for Connor Milligan. Councilmember Alvord has made a selection of Sherry Rutledge. Councilmember Mendoza has made the selection of Sharon Lawen. Councilmember Rakucci has made the selection of Austin Skates. And Mayor Haldeshelt has made the selection of Connor Milligan.
Wow, I'm not sure that that has ever happened. Usually we end up with 2 people, yeah, so I guess,
We have 2, right?
We
Can you read
have
that,
2
please?
for Connor Milligan, 1 for Sharon Lawlin, 1 for Sherry Rutledge, and 1 for Austin Skates.
So what is the procedure? Are we voting again on all of the candidates or just?
We
Oh,
need
no, We
to,
have a, we have a,
we have a majority, but that is only 2 votes. We would need a majority of 3 to be able to.
So it's up to you whether you want to limit the next vote to just the only people who received a vote, or you could open it again for the full vote, but hopefully you don't get the same result. So it's kind of up for you to decide on how you want to do that. If you limited it, the final vote here, the next vote to only the vote getters, hopefully you would get a majority out of that.
yeah, let's limit the votes to Sharon Lawin, Connor Milligan. I'm sorry,
And again, it's,
Sharon Rutledge.
and it's up to your discretion, because, I mean,
I think what I'd recommend is that Connor Milligan appears to be there. So we would limit it to Rutledge, I'm sorry, Lawin, Rutledge, and Skates, right? So we would vote for,
And Milligan.
What about
Okay,
Milligan?
there's
only
4.
one
He said
vacancy.
Mulligan, too.
so we'd vote to all
All
of
of
those.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Milligan?
So you could vote for everybody. You could vote to only those who got the vote, who received a vote, right? Because it wasn't all the candidates who received a vote. But then you run the risk that you get the exact same vote again if you all vote the same way on the same people. So it's,
I think I'm now sufficiently understanding. So the candidates for this next vote are Lawin, Milligan, Rutledge, and Skates. Okay.
Skates didn't have, did you
Had one.
It's had 1, correct.
Yours.
have? Okay.
All right.
So again, we're going to do a repeat on this particular, for the Board of Appeals. If you could please fill out your second ballot. Thank you. And we'll start our tally with Vice Mayor Bernasconi for Connor Milligan. Councilmember Albert, Sherry Rutledge. Councilmember Mendoza, Connor Milligan. Councilmember Rakucci, Connor Milligan. And Mayor Haldeshelt, Connor Milligan.
We have 4 for Connor Milligan.
Okay, so that being the case, Connor Milligan seems to be the selected appointee for the Board of Appeals, and we'll vote on this at the very end. Next, we'll start with our
Do
senior.
you want a motion on that one?
No, we're going to do them
We're
all
going to do
together.
all the motions. Okay, great,
Next,
thank you.
We'll move on to our senior commission, so if you could please make your selection and forward your ballots to me. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll start off with Vice Mayor Bernasconi, Arlene Starr. Councilmember Albert, Arlene Starr. Councilmember Mendoza, Arlene Starr. Councilmember Rakucci, Arlene Starr. And Mayor Haldeshelt, Penny, I may mispronounce this, Basinger? Sorry, I apologize for the sabotage on that name. But it looks like we do have 4 votes for Arlene Starr, and it seems like our Arlene Starr is our selected member for the Senior Commission. Next, and finally, we have our Transportation Commission. And on this particular commission, the council has an opportunity to select 3 individuals to appoint. Thank you. Councilmember Mendoza, can you pass those? Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And we'll start our first selection from Vice Mayor Bernasconi. We have Marilyn Festerson, Dan Groff, and Louis McGregor.
George.
I'm sorry, George. Oh, George McGregor?
Louis McGeorge.
Louis McGeorge, I'm sorry. Thank you. Next, we have Councilmember Elverd. We have Charles Aquino, Marilyn Festerson, and Dan Groff. Councilmember Mendoza has selected Marilyn Festerson, Dan Groff, and Louis McGeorge. Councilmember Rakucci has selected Marilyn Festerson, Dan Groff, and Louis McGeorge. And lastly, Mayor Haldeshell has selected Charles Aquino, Dan Groff, and Louis McGeorge. Katrina, can you tell us what the tally on that is?
Absolutely. That would be 2 for Charles Aquino, 4 for Marilyn Festerson, 5 for Dan Groff, and 4 for Louis McGeorge, making Louis McGeorge, Dan Groff, and Marilyn Festerson the appointed.
Great. Thank you very much. So the council has made their selection. At this time, I'd like to request that the council make a motion to approve to the Board of Appeals, Connor Milligan, to the Senior Commission, Arlene Starr, and to the Transportation Commission, Marilyn Festerson, Dan Groff, and Louis McGeorge. If I can have a motion, please.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi. Yes. Councilmember Elverd.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the council, we appreciate all those who applied. One of the most gratifying things for me in the 5 years I've sat on this council is to see the real interest in serving this community, and, it's serving the community and seeing the quality of applicants that we get each and every time, which makes it a little more challenging each and every time to when you only have 1 or 2 slots. So thank you to everyone, and those who weren't selected. There will be more openings in the future, and there's certainly more ways to contribute to the city than just serving on the council, serving on a board or commission. So thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Katrina.
With that, lose my place here in the meeting. So we are now at item 8.1, which is the Roseville Venture Lab lease agreement amendment and annual update. And we have with us Melissa Aguiano and Economic Development Manager Wayne Wiley.
Yeah, well, good afternoon, Mayor Haldeshell, members of the council. Again, I'm Wayne Wiley, Economic Development Manager. And first, I just want to say I'm really excited to be presenting this item to you tonight on the annual update for the Roseville Venture Lab. And I want to thank all of our partners who've helped make this first year such a success. It's really been a culmination of efforts between internal city departments, community and regional partners, and our engaged residents, and some of whom are here tonight. So with that, I wanted to provide a little background first. So if you remember, back in April of 2022, Council approved the lease agreement, a program agreement, and a budget adjustment for the launch or establishment of the Roseville Venture Lab, which is a public-private partnership between the City of Roseville and the Growth Factory focused on supporting entrepreneurs. Now, at the time, some of the conversation around the support of this initiative was due to its alignment with Council's priority of enhancing economic vitality, while also recognizing that this effort would help establish a more diverse approach to our citywide economic development strategy. In addition to this, it was really intended that this be a comprehensive effort aligned with regional needs, while also helping attract capital and talent to our local economy. So to that end, there were really 6 main initiatives that we focused on, which included activating the space, establishing an innovation challenge, launching a signature program like Roseville Rising, and then finally focusing on engagement and inclusion, and inclusive economic development kind of strategy. And so I guess just in summary here, with these, the overarching goal was really to enhance innovative opportunities and support the local entrepreneurial ecosystem through a variety of offerings and strategies. So I think this slide does a really good job of kind of indicating, what's been done up till this year, than the first year. And it really highlights, the breadth of the partnerships, the amount of programs and the variety of programming that's been offered in the space, and then the number of attendees. And this is just a snapshot, so it's not all-inclusive, but it really highlights some of the better attended events and programs that we intentionally track to gauge our success. And so I know it may be a little hard to read, especially for the viewers at home, but I want to highlight, we've had over 2,000 folks visit this space in the first year and offered over 50 programs. And what that means is it's resulted in increased sales tax revenue from the attendees patronizing the downtown businesses. And it really helped kind of grow the ecosystem and bring awareness to what we're doing in Roseville. And so on this slide, I wanted to just kind of highlight some of those more foundational programs. The first being Roseville Rising, which has been a tremendous success. This was really first kind of intended to be a small business kind of accelerator program. But what we found was there was a lot of interest from other groups. And so we launched a Roseville Rising for high school students. We had one focused on social impact and nonprofit organizations. We're going to be doing one around food in the upcoming year. So this is something that you'll continue to see come out of the Venture Lab. And then the next item is Placer Robotics. This is a group that utilized the lab space through the first year and then ended up locating in downtown Roseville based on some financial support that they got from the Venture Lab and the Downtown Roseville Partnership, and based on the relationships that they made. So they became a part of this downtown community. We also have Business Blend, which is a monthly networking meeting led by business leaders from their respective field. And this allowed entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs the opportunity to network and kind of gain more insights into their potential business ventures. And then finally, the CAD program, that's another one that's been hugely successful. It kind of has a workforce development component. I think we originally had 60 applicants for this program for about 25, 30 spaces. And so that's something that we're going to bring back in the upcoming year. And then I just have this last point on here, noting the Innovation Challenge and the Demonstration Pilot Program Policy. That's something that we're working on internally, and council can expect to see that within the next 6 months. So I think with these efforts, there's really been some real economic benefits, and shown here are some of the more quantifiable or direct impacts. And so, companies, based on the effort and the initiative, companies have incorporated because the Roseville Rising program. We've had several companies expand operations, whether that be through hiring additional staff or expanding kind of their business network. We've spent over $20,000 has been spent in catering with downtown merchants. And that's not that doesn't include the 2,000 visitors that I mentioned, because a lot of those folks, after whatever event they were attending, they would go and patronize the businesses. So that 20,000 was in addition to the money that was generated from those visitors. And then the in-home business through Roseville Venture Lab, leasing city-owned space. This is another kind of cool story. We had Capital Sellers, which is a 3D printing company that reached out to the city based on what they heard about Roseville Venture Lab. They were operating out of their home in their garage. They wanted to kind of expand their business, and they needed more space for additional 3D printers. The short version is we subsequently ended up leasing space to them at a pretty favorable rate, but it allowed them to expand their business while also generating some revenue for the city. And then Placer Robotics, I mentioned them on the previous slide. When they located downtown, they took occupancy of a longstanding vacant space and invested over $300,000 in tenant improvements. So that's real money invested into our community. In addition to the direct impacts, the last two items noted here are a little harder to associate a dollar amount with, but nevertheless, I think they're worth noting. So growing the entrepreneurship ecosystem, really, we've continued to maintain our position as a leader in the region, and now around innovation and adding to the Roseville brand, we've been recognized nationally for this effort and received a few awards for the Venture Lab. And then the last item here is potential ideas and businesses and solutions, really just the ability of something significant coming out of the Venture Lab is really encouraging. And an example that I have there is Mindful Text, which is a text-based wellness app. They are a local business that ended up partnering with the city of Roseville with the pilot program because their mission kind of aligned with the city's health and wellness initiative. And so we've had about 100 employees sign up to take part in that program. So I think as we look at program objectives, we've been quite successful through year one. And as we go into year two, we'll be focused on strategic implementation. But I will note, because in year three, we note capacity building, internally with the growth factory and our internal staff, we realize that that's going to happen sooner, that's going to need to happen sooner than later. And so if we're going to be successful, we're going to have to onboard partners to help us further this initiative and our goals. And then here is a summary of the total project costs mapped out over the first 3 years. And if you remember, this was part of a one-time ARPA funding allocation related to the project. And so I just wanted to note here, we're on budget. We actually have a little bit of additional funding that's rolling over from the grant program into year two. But all things considered, staff anticipates that we'll be on track for years 2 and 3. And then finally, just as a minor kind of cleanup item, I wanted to note that the proposed lease amendment will update the rent schedule to align with when the growth factory actually took occupancy of the space. And so the language noted here and in your staff report is just a reflection of that and provides some information for clarification purposes. There's no significant changes related to this lease amendment, and there's no other changes proposed to that agreement. So in closing, I think based on the cumulative benefits of the initiative and the continued anticipated return on investment, staff is recommending that City Council receive the Roseville Venture Lab annual update and adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a first amendment to the lease agreement. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I would first like to ask our partner from the Growth Factory, Monique Brown, to come up and say a few words to conclude my presentation.
Thank you, Wayne. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you so much for having me here today. Wayne really covered a lot of ground really well. I think from my perspective, what I just want to share is it's been an incredible first year working in partnership with Wayne, Melissa, and Helen, who is a saint, honestly, working with us in marketing. So it's just been, we've learned a lot, and we positioned year one as, or a startup, as a test. And I think the things that we're seeing coming out of this lab certainly exceed our expectations, and I'm thrilled to be heading into a really strong year two. Wayne asked me to highlight a couple key things from my perspective, the value the Venture Lab is creating. I want to amplify that the brand that Roseville is building through this initiative is significant. We hear it all the time in our kind of greater work around the region. We have people walking into the building on a regular basis that have moved here from the Bay Area and are so excited that this exists here. We have people who've lived here for years who've never been to downtown Roseville on Vernon Street who come and are delighted by what they see. So I think both from just the attraction piece as well as just building the brand of leaders in business and innovation in this region, I think it's accomplishing its goals. The other two things I wanted to highlight are the partners that we're able to engage. Because of the city's support, we're able to open our doors to other nonprofits like Blue Line Arts, Placer Robotics, Entrepreneurs Organization, the Capital Creative Alliance. And through those partnerships, we're able to collaborate on really important programming to serve entrepreneurs of all stripes. So our creative entrepreneurs, our youth entrepreneurs. We're working on some programming for entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds and socioeconomic experiences. So the city's funding has made that possible. And then finally, workforce was on there as an initiative, but I'll tell you what, you're going to hear from some of these students and some of our program partners in that talent and workforce development piece. And that is gaining traction very, very quickly. And I think, again, in partnership with some of our key partners who you'll hear from, the city, and then, regionally, Sierra College, who's just upstairs, and we're entrepreneur in residence there as well. We're building these really compelling pipelines. So I really can't thank you enough. Each of you have attended our events, come and met our entrepreneurs, have really supported this, and it's making a huge difference. And we couldn't do it without really strong partners. And Wayne has been amazing, and Helen and Melissa, so thank you.
Thank you, Monique. Does the council have any questions before we open up for public comment? All right, well, now you get the city council version of Shark Tank here, and I'm going to start with Sarah. Millie, help me pronounce it. I always like to learn.
Millie.
Millie.
Yes.
Okay, Sarah. And there's extra credit if you don't take all 5 minutes.
All right, go ahead and time me. Thank you. Good evening.
Time.
My name is Sarah Elmili. I'm the co-founder with my husband, Rami Elmili, for Elec Health. I'm also the CEO, and he's the CFO, and he's here tonight with us. And I wanted to present today how thankful we are for really this partnership between the Venture Lab and the Growth Factory. We have created this company which is focused on preventing ER and hospitalizations for adults with chronic conditions. About a couple of years ago, we're health clinicians, both of us, so we're licensed providers, and what we do is that we try to save patients from crowding or overcrowding our hospitals. And we knew 2 years ago that we had opportunities of improvement, we just didn't know what they were until the Roseville Rising cohort application surfaced. And I remember calling Wayne at night, and I said, I am skeptical, is this like really a class, what is this? And because of him, I ended up applying, and I got accepted, so thank you. Long story short, so that because you were timing me, I'm totally kidding. I just wanted to say that this has been a terrific, amazing journey. Not only that we grew as founders and a healthcare organization, we also grew to be part of this community. The partnerships have been amazing and very significant. We now have 2 different partnerships with 2 different companies here in Roseville, and we cater to our patients in the community here. Also because of being here so many times, and like Monique said, we never knew about this part, even though we live close by. We now go to Monk Cellars all the time, and we did our passport renewal here right across the street. So a lot of services have really opened up to us as founders just because of the healthcare aspect and also as people of the community. So thank you for our growth as an organization. Thank you for all the partnerships, and thank you for all the opportunities that you're providing for us through this venture.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Josh Manley.
Who invented a new type of screwdriver? Who invented a cell phone case with infinitely expandable storage? Who invented a robot motor cooler? Our students with the Roseville Rising cohort just across the street last week. The Edisons, Teslas, and Franklins are sitting in our classrooms today. What will it take to awaken their potential? I'm Josh Manley, founder and CEO of CAD Class, a worldwide accelerator helping people design and bring their 3D ideas to life. For the past decade, I've taught tens of thousands of people how to work with wood, metal, lasers, 3D printers, automated machinery, and all kinds of maker equipment. I was the education director of a 30,000 square foot makerspace in Southern California. I'm currently a professor of automated machinery at Sac City College. Many problems we face demand real-world physical solutions. How else will we clean up our oceans, our forests, our cities? Who will help us transition away from fossil fuels and into a more energy-efficient and energy-independent world? We need people who know how to make things. I had the pleasure of partnering with the Venture Lab and the Growth Factory to pilot a brand new program here in the city of Roseville, like I said, just across the street. For 12 weeks, students learned how to make 3D models and then how to turn those 3D models into real prototypes. Those students blew us away. I hope you'll consider investing in future programs that will lead to new, great jobs, new companies, and a better world for all of us. Imagine what else students will invent. Or don't imagine it. Come see it yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Michael Tachuk? Michael, I always like, help me with the pronunciation.
Yes, so my last name is Tkachuk, So, all right, so
Kachuk.
kind of, so. Don't worry.
Could you invent technology that helps me learn last names quicker?
In a few years with
Hey, Sock Michael, dazzle us.
My name is Heiko Kachuk. I'm a co-founder of Rental Bay, one of the companies from the Roseville Rising Entrepreneurship Program. We incorporated in the summer as well, so that's what they're talking about in that slide. I just wanted to talk about my experiences in both the entrepreneurship thing and also in CAD class. So I came here from Texas last year, just in August, right before the school started. And I came here, I had no clue who these people are. I joined DECA with thanks to her, and they introduced me to the Roseville Rising. I joined with my friend, and I learned how to take an idea and materialize it into what is now an in development thing. So I'm not going to get into the details of what I made because I'm obviously on the clock, but
Boy, I've really intimidated this crew.
was good, yeah.
It was not my intent to intimidate you, right?
it's all good.
Take your time.
Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful not.
But a takeaway from the entrepreneurship thing is that this helped me and everyone inside of it help bring an idea into life. It gave us the confidence, the communication skills. Of course, you've noticed, but I stutter. I could not talk like this at all if I did not go into that environment. And in the CAD class, learning how to make something is just as important as learning how to bring an idea onto paper. In my case, I modeled an olfactory alarm clock because I wanted to wake up with a better and just a better experience. So with both of these things, one to benefit your communication, one to help out your ability to again bring an idea onto pen and paper, and the ability to actually make and model what you're trying to do. Those two things, when they come together, are all you need to make a successful company. If I do not think I could have gone through a better experience than other than the last year. The last year was obviously excellent. I thank you to everyone here that made this possible. Thank you to you all and you guys. I would recommend it to everyone. I've already recommended it to many of my friends and other people in my school. They all applied. Some of them got in, and now they're on track to go through that same experience. That is my story, and thank you.
Michael, before you leave, some of us were actually at the graduation last year. I remember the presentation, so thank you. And did I understand you correctly? You made an alarm clock that with olfactory.
I
you might be
modeled it.
familiar with the expression "wake up and smell the roses," right? And I think that's what you did, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Michael, everything I saw, and I think I speak for the council, that comes out of our high school students in these programs is amazing, right? And I look forward to, in my years down the road, using your technology to make my life better. Thank you.
See, yeah.
Haley Garrett, come on up and dazzle us.
All right. Hello, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Haley Garrett. I am an intern at the Grow Factory and alumni and mentor at the Roseville Rising for High School Student Program. Just to kind of touch on my experience a little bit, I came from a family of entrepreneurs from the greater Sacramento region, and I didn't have any entrepreneurship experience prior. However, when I had the opportunity to intern at the Grow Factory, I learned of Roseville Rising, and as Michael said, he's one of our best members at DECA, but we promoted at school. So many members, or club members and students all joined, and to Monique's point, the Roseville Venture Lab has done such great work, and it is well known at Granite Bay at least, and I assume other high schools. And so moving forward, I know that after going through the Roseville Rising program, I'm so interested in startups and that culture of getting up and being ready to get things done, like the entrepreneurship region in Roseville, obviously. And so I know for my future, I want to be in venture capital and in the startup world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who like to make public comment?
Mayor and council, I haven't heard anybody yet, but I'd like to acknowledge happy holidays and Merry Christmas. I want to share my experience with Venture Lab and Growth Factory, and I don't want to make it a negative. I just want to acknowledge that it's an opportunity for growth in the sense of we're in it 1 year. When Wayne invited me to attend, me and my mind have great ideas. At least I tell myself they're good ideas. But I found myself reluctant to express it to investors in fear of them running with it and leaving me out cold. So in speaking with my extended family in other communities, I shared the opportunities that are presented here in Roseville. And I said, why don't you come on in? It's no jurisdiction limits. If you're willing to drive, come on over. You can experience it and then take it back to your city and see if you want to pitch it. Long story short, you know, the opportunity of the lab is you got air conditioning, you got lighting, you got drinks, you got snacks, you got, it's the perfect environment to draw people together because it's free. My concern is our youth. When the youth have these ideas and they find somebody captive to share their ideas with, what elements or guidelines are set to assist in not taking advantage of the youth? That's my concern. I see the youth being taken advantage by investors. I don't know of contracts that have come away with, okay, you'll get a cut of it at this percent, like a Shark Tank scenario. So that's one thing. The other thing I asked the other night when I was in, and I didn't get an answer, and I asked during Open Lab, what is the application of privacy laws? You log in your laptop, my own laptop, and I'm using the Wi-Fi router in the lab. But I go, what is the application to the CCPA, California Consumer Protection Act? Oh, John, that's a good question. I don't know. And I go, okay, I don't expect you to know, but maybe you want to look into it because I'm using your Wi-Fi router and my laptop. I don't know, and I'm not comfortable of who's intermediating my data. And then in today's environment, it's all about selling your data. So all of my cookies, I think, I'm not IT, but when I hit something, I'm in the lab. I don't know who's using that. And then you talk about the youth that are in there. Thank you. Good night.
All right. Thank you, John. Anyone else, public comment? Yes, come on up. After, we'll give your name, please.
Good evening. I'm Tyler Caressa, president and co-founder of a company called Onsite Analytics. We develop data and analytics tools for mostly multifamily properties to help them manage their maintenance costs. When I walked in, I'm a lifelong Roseville resident, and I was a member of the first cohort of Roseville Rising. And when I walked in the doors, of the Venture Lab the first time. I was not president and co-founder of Onsite Analytics. I was just Tyler Kress, who had an idea. And through that cohort, I really learned how to, like Mike said, take an idea and really create a business out of it. And since graduating the first cohort, over 2 rounds, we've incorporated and we've raised $1 million in venture capital. And I've utilized other events at the Venture Lab, like the Business Blends and some of the other programs. I met my chief revenue officer in the Venture Lab. And, in Q1 and Q2 of 2024, we're actively looking for office space in the Douglas corridor, and we plan to hire 2 to 3 employees here in Roseville, full-time W-2 employees. So it's been a tremendous opportunity for myself. I was one of those lifelong Roseville residents that had never been to Vernon Street, admittedly. I now come down here all the time. I take meetings in the Venture Lab. I take meetings at Fig Tree Cafe. And it's just been a real blessing for me in my career. So just wanted to come and speak to that.
Thank you, Tyler, for sharing that. Any other public comment? All right, I will close public comment. Ask Councilman Alvord, would you lead us off with any comments you have before?
Absolutely. Tyler, that's a great success story, and I hope it keeps growing for you. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. The only thing I wanted to comment, several of us have attended many of these events over there. They're fantastic, and it's exciting to watch the eggs crack open and the chicks hatch and quickly grow. And I think the experts that are guiding and talking to people that are learning the business, you've got a lot of good experts in there that are helping coach, and I think that's fantastic. I wanted to make a comment on the slide when it talked about secondary impacts, growing the entrepreneurship ecosystem. It's hard to measure that, but that is priceless. That's exactly what we're trying to do in Roseville. We want to be known as a hub for entrepreneurship, and this is, we're bringing big tech businesses here, and we definitely want the smaller ones to start up here and grow here. And so, congratulations. I'm really happy that the first year has been successful. And I'm going to continue to cheer. So this is awesome.
Vice Mayor Burns, any?
I just echo my colleagues' comments. We're just incredibly proud of all the different layers that you have put in place for the entrepreneurs, for students, for natives, for people who are coming out of the Bay Area and beyond that want to invest. A number of us were there yesterday for the CTE program for the high school students. Incredibly impressive. And every time I'm there, it just reaches these different audiences that I didn't even know really existed. So we're hats off to you, and thank you for the partnership that you have with us and believing in us to be ones that can help you bring it to fruition.
Councilwoman Rakucci?
I think what you offered the community, something they never thought they would see or we would see. Many have said that they had never been down on Vernon Street. And now when you go down Vernon Street, you have an opportunity to open up a different part of your world and bring ideas to people who have ideas, but they don't know what to do with them. And at least talk about them and see where they can go. So it's a great opportunity. Thank you, students, for coming and saying what you did, because that's you're the proof. That's really nice. So I'm really glad that we have it and looking forward to it continue.
Councilmember Mendoza?
I echo what my fellow council members have said, and I've attended a couple events over there over the past year, as well as everybody else up here. And there's a saying that you never want to be the smartest person in the room because that means you're not open and learning. I never have a problem when I go over to the Venture Lab because I'm immediately humbled. Every time I've come over there, I definitely walk away thinking I did not know what I didn't know. And I think it's been, for me, it's been very exciting just to see the passion from each one of the people that I've interacted with over there. And I think that's something that's missing if you're going into business for yourself. And we have several people up here in business for themselves. If you're not passionate about what you do, you're not excited about it, you're not going to succeed. And I think having this across the street and seeing the passion that comes out of the people that are working in that lab, and it's just amazing to see. So I congratulate you on all of your success stories, and Wayne and Melissa, this is a great update, so thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo the comments that my colleagues have made. You know, there was a blank space over there, and there was a blank sheet. And I think we were all like, okay, all right. We you know, our professionals here at the city have a vision that, not, you know, in our busy worlds, we don't always really fully appreciate. Well, we fully appreciate it now. Let me just say that. And the partners and the teamwork, and as Vice Mayor Bernasconi said yesterday with the the inaugural launch of the Career Tech, I'm just so excited about that space, and the residual benefit to Vernon Street, and the activation is just amazing. So with that, I'll ask the city clerk to read the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With that, on item 8.1, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 23-484, approving the First Amendment to lease agreement by and between the City of Roseville and the Growth Factory, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville. At this time, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second, please? Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with the second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item 8.2, the 2023 Integrated Resource Plan approval. And our Electric Resource Planner, Director Dan Beans. And with you, Dan, tell us who you have with you tonight.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And with me tonight is Brian Chinstock, one of our resource planners. He's going to give a presentation on our integrated resource plan.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Like Dan said, I am Brian Chinstock. I'm one of the staff members that helped develop the Electric Integrated Resource Plan. I'd like to give praise to everybody else that did help, some of which are here tonight, and as well as some customers that participated in this process. So, next slide, please. To give some background, Integrated Resource Plan is a comprehensive plan designed to guide long-term resource procurement. It ensures the utility meets its goals and legislative requirements. In accordance with SB 350, it's required to do a plan every 5 years. Our last plan was done in 2018, so that's why we're here before you today. We had many successes from our last plan, including we increased our capacity by nearly 100 megawatts. Those are for renewals, new procurement, and investing in current infrastructure. And a lot of those are green, so it helps meet our green goals of being renewable, emission-free. Another key takeaway, that goal that we had coming out of the plan that we initiated and completed, was we entered into the California Energy Imbalance Market. That provides more liquidity to buy energy at lower prices and then use our assets to sell when the prices are higher through the day. This plan slide back please, sorry. This plan, we did have extensive public engagement. We had 2 meetings at the Public Utility Commission, 2 public meetings, which were recorded, posted on our website with all the background information. And then we also had a dedicated email that customers could reach out to us. And we did a survey and posted those results on our website as well. Next slide. As we know, there can be a lot of changes in a short amount of time. Here's some key things that affect integrated resource planning and what's changed from the last plan just 5 years ago that we took into account in this plan. So the renewable portfolio standard, that's a requirement. A certain percentage of our energy must be renewable. That increased from 50% to 60%. Emission reductions, kind of convoluted, but the previous mandate was 40% below 1990 levels. That ratcheted up quite a bit to 90% zero carbon by 2035, which is just 11 years away, and then 100% by 2045. So in other words, by 2045, we'll have to be 60% renewable, and then the remainder 40% emission-free. The other things that we did with this plan, that the 2 technologies that really affect load growth are rooftop solar and then transportation electrification, also known as electric vehicles. We did scenarios on those just to understand the range of possibilities and how they affect our load and our needs. Next slide. Our goals coming out of this was to maintain high reliability, affordable rates, and meet compliance. We felt the following action plan best meets those goals, and we wanted to align those with our resource categories. So we kind of grouped these together. The rows show the needs, and then the columns are the resource categories that we have. So dispatchable renewables, for example, that would be like hydro. That helps meet our peak capacity or our highest need throughout the year. Flex capacity, which be the ability to move resources up and down with the changing load. It would add additional diversity to our energy mix. And small hydro is renewable, and then large hydro does help reduce emissions. It is emission-free. Base load renewable would be like geothermal. That would help with peak diversity, even though we do have some in our portfolio today, but a small sliver. It is renewable, so it would also help with reducing our emissions. Again, to that previous slide of what's changed through the last plan. Intermittent renewables, more commonly known as solar and wind, those would help with diversity of our portfolio, obviously renewable and emission reduction. Local generation, that really helps with local reliability. That would help meet peak and flex capacity. That'd be investing in Roseville Energy Park or possibly units around or sited near that park. And then increase import capacity. We have a limit of how much energy we can bring into the city at a time through our high voltage transmission lines. So we want to work with our partners to increase that. That would increase our peak, flex, and diversity of resources. Finally, load reduction program. Like we noticed last year in September, the grid was strained. So having that ability to have load reduction programs to reduce our load or in essence provide more peak capacity would also help. We feel doing all these things again would best meet our high reliability, affordability, and meet compliance. Next steps, hopefully in the next few minutes, get approval, and then submit to the California Energy Commission in the next few days. And then we want to begin implementing this plan. And I do want to be clear that what we're asking today is just the plan itself. All procurement will come before council, just like our normal process. And then we understand, too, things will change. So we want to continue to monitor and update for future changes. Obviously, we'll do another plan in at least 5 years. So with that, I thank you for your time and welcome any questions.
All right, does council have any questions? Councilman Albert?
I'm really sorry to ask this question, but I'm sure somebody watching is asking it for us. There's a part about 100% zero carbon by 2045, which we have natural gas power plants. So just curious if you mind just touching on that. I know it's a ways out there.
Yeah, no, that is a great question. I think that's been asked by everybody. I think if I knew the answer, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. I might be retired, but there are emerging technologies that can help. I know. So, for instance, we could use green hydrogen where we still utilize our thermal assets, but renewables would kind of power that fuel, and then we'd put it through our plant. So that would still, going back to that previous slide, be able to be dispatchable. But renewable. And there is renewable natural gas. It is quite expensive, but that is an option as well. So a lot of people are looking at this problem. I think, batteries are probably part of that solution as well. But to be quite frank, I don't know if anybody has that answer yet. So.
And I'll be a little more frank because I can't help myself. But yeah, technology hasn't caught up to state policy or federal policy yet. So that's a good question, Scott, and we will see. It's going to be a bumpy road, and hopefully, we can keep the lights on, keep it affordable, and still get where we need to go. But it's definitely going to be a push.
I know Roseville's been a leader statewide in power, and so I know we've got our foot in the door and our voice being kind of loud, so we appreciate that. I just wanted to throw that out because I know people noticed that on the slide. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for addressing it.
Yeah. Any other questions of council?
I would just, go ahead, Tracy.
I have nothing.
Not really another question, but I'm just, comes to mind, it wasn't just about a year ago that we were asked by California to step up to the plate and help and put out generators so that we could keep the lights on in California. So I think we're pretty innovative and we work with what we need to do. And I'm really glad that we have that kind of diversity.
My one question is, once it goes up to the Energy Commission, is there a time in which they have to approve it, or is it just a submittal and then they check the box that the city of Roseville has submitted their integrated resource plan?
Yeah, they do look at it for key components, so making sure that we address certain things in that plan, but that process can take up to about 6 months.
And then if there are any changes, then,
Then we have a grace period to address those and resubmit.
okay,
So,
great. All right, I'll open it up for public comment. All right, I'll close public comment and inquire if the council has any additional comments or questions. Seeing none, we'll ask the clerk to read the motion. Thank you for the presentation.
On item 8.2, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 23-473, approving the 2023 Integrated Resource Plan. This time, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Albert.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Hildeshelf.
Yes, thanks for your presentation.
thank you.
All right, I'm going to read the next three items I'm going to read, and then we're going to have a combined presentation. So item 9.1 is the International Union of Operating Engineers, Stationary Engineers, Local 39, Successor Memorandum of Understanding and Salary Schedule Update. Then 9.2 is Management and Confidential Employees, Successor Terms, Conditions, and Understandings and Salary Schedule Updates. And finally, 9.3 is the Roseville Police Association, Successor Memorandum of Understanding and Salary Schedule Updates. And we'll have a presentation from Stacy Peterson.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor Hildeshelf, council members. I'm pleased to be here this evening to recommend to you adoption of our successor memorandums of understanding and terms for 3 of our labor groups. As you indicated, I'm going to be presenting these 3 items together this evening because many of the major elements of and I'm going to abbreviate, so memorandums of understandings I'll refer to as MOUs just for brevity. So they have similar major elements. And basically the current MOUs and terms, they expire at the end of December. So with that, Local 39, it's our largest represented group and represented by 560 positions. And when I have FTE up there, that means full-time equivalent positions, just for clarity. This is, as I said, our largest group, and it's representing employees in most of our departments across the city, serving the community. And this includes positions like our accountants, our clerks, engineers, inspectors, our maintenance staff, our code enforcement, refuse truck drivers, analysts, and technicians, water and wastewater plant operators, so a large variety of different job classes. I'm going to skip down to, back to the prior slide, please. Our Roseville Police Officers Association consists of 62 positions, and this represents our non-sworn professional employees that work in the police department. So this includes our dispatchers, our community services officers, animal control officers, our records clerks, and more positions. Of course, all providing very important services to the city. Still on the prior slide, please. So I'm also recommending adoption of the successor terms, conditions, and understandings for our unrepresented management confidential group, and they help to lead, train, recognize, develop, and support our city team. And that's to make sure we have exceptional results and exceptional customer service for the community. We started bargaining at the end of September with the Roseville Police Association group, and at the beginning of October with Local 39. Before I get headed into kind of more of the terms of the negotiated agreements, I would like to share a thank you to those who were part of this process, specifically the negotiating teams. They worked hard to collaboratively discuss the complex issues that we were trying to solve. I want to point out that Jonathan Levi, our senior deputy city attorney, he served as the city's chief negotiator with Local 39, and certainly Stephen Hatch was the chief negotiator for Local 39, and I thank him for his participation in working with us so well. I want to also thank Janie Cardiff, our assistant HR director, who was a co-chief for the city, along with Tim Davis, who was co-chief in working with our Roseville Police Association group, and then certainly Bhavin Atwal, who was the RPA chief negotiator. They were able to reach agreement and pass a vote for the agreements that we reached in early December. So moving forward, overall, I just always like to stress the fact that the city's goal is to remain competitive for recruiting great talent and to retain experienced and skilled staff, as the cost of turnover is very high. So next, I'll share the major elements of the successor MOUs and terms. The agreements include a 4-year term. For year 1, labor market adjustments will be paid effective January 13th, 2024. In year 2, a general wage increase of 2.5% will be provided. In year 3, a total compensation study will be conducted to adjust wages by the percentages. The benchmarks are behind the 55th percentile of the market with a minimum of 2%. For year 4, a 3% general wage increase is scheduled. The city, like many employers, has experienced significant medical premium increases, so higher adjustments for the city's flex credit were needed to try to put the city's contribution at 80% for the medical, dental, and vision premium costs. We certainly benchmark to Kaiser because that's where the majority of our employees are enrolled when looking at that 80% number. And then for those at employee plus 1 dependent, we try to achieve 85% of the premium costs. There were a few other provisions updated specific to Local 39 to address rising costs and remain competitive in our market. Uniform allowance was increased from $300 to $400 annually. Safety boot allowance was increased from $250 to $300 annually. And standby pay was also adjusted to ensure coverage outside of regular shifts and to align with another bargaining group to recognize the impact on employees for this additional coverage for emergency response. For management confidential employees, a performance-based service term bonus is recommended to align with other labor groups and retain skilled employees. This includes an annual 2.5% base pay lump sum payment after a manager reaches 10 years of service with the city in each year thereafter, and an additional annual 2.5% base wage lump sum payment at 15 years of service in each year thereafter. And this is included for both confidential and management employees who are successfully performing in their jobs. We certainly need them here to mentor our younger population of employees coming in. And then there were a few smaller items that are spelled out in the staff report to support recruitment and retention challenges. For the fiscal impact, the total fiscal impact to this current fiscal year is $3.4 million, of which $1.7 million is to the general fund, which can be covered by current appropriations. To be transparent, the costs for each year of the MOUs or management and confidential terms are spelled out in the staff report. I do want to point out that year 3 has a known cost of 2%, which was included because of the 2% minimum. And any needed labor market adjustments where total compensation is behind the 55th percentile will be presented and reviewed with council for approval of updated salary schedules prior to January 2026. So for the 3 separate agenda items, 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3, it will require a separate vote. Staff is recommending council adopt the resolutions approving the attached Local 39 and Roseville Police Association successor MOUs and the management confidential terms, conditions, and understandings. And staff also recommends council adopt the ordinances to approve the attached salary schedules. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Before we ask any questions, I just need clarification from the city attorney. Are we doing public comment on all three of these, or are we doing public comment individually?
So I think we want to take each item individually. We combine the presentation for purposes of these, but I think you take each item individually and then make the separate vote, public comment for each item.
Okay. Well, I'll ask City Council if they have any comments on, or any questions on the International Union of Operating Engineers and Stationary Engineers, Local 39 Successor Memorandum of Understanding and Salary Schedule. Any questions? No. All right, I'll open public comment on that item. Is there any public comment on that item? Seeing none, I'll close that public comment. Unless there are any questions, additional comments from the council, I'll ask the city clerk to read the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On item 9.1, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 23-490, approving a master memorandum of understanding for personnel represented by the International Union of Operating Engineers, Stationary Engineers, Local 39, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville. And also adopting Ordinance Number 6769, amending Ordinance Number 6725, the salary ordinance for employees represented by the International Union of Operating Engineers, Stationary Engineers, Local 39, as amended by Appendix A to be effective January 13th, 2024, as an urgency measure. With that, Mr. Mayor, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes. I'll ask the council if they have any questions on the management and confidential employees, successor terms and conditions, and understandings and salary schedule updates. Any questions?
No?
All right, I'll open it for public comment. Seeing no public comment and anticipating that there are no additional, I'll close public comment and anticipating there are no additional questions or comments, I'll ask the city clerk to read the motion.
Thank you. On item 9.2, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 23491, approving terms, conditions, and understandings for management and confidential employees, and authorizing the city manager to execute it on behalf of the City of Roseville, and adopting Ordinance Number 6771, amending Ordinance Number 6723, the salary ordinance for confidential employees as amended by Appendix A to be effective January 13th, 2024, as an urgency measure, and adopting Ordinance Number 6772, amending Ordinance Number 6726, the salary ordinance for management employees as amended by Appendix A to be effective January 13th, 2024, as an urgency measure. At this time, may I please have a motion to approve the item?
So moved.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes. And then lastly, inquire if the council has any questions on the Roseville Police Association successor memorandum of understanding and salary schedule update. Seeing none, I'll open for public comment. I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back to the council for any additional questions or comments. I think I just want to echo on all three of these, your comments, Stacy, about the team and the collaboration that went into all three of these, right?
Thank you.
And I'll ask the city clerk to read the motion.
Thank you. On item 9.3, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 23-489, approving a memorandum of understanding for non-sworn employees represented by the Roseville Police Association, and authorizing the city manager to execute on behalf of the City of Roseville, and adopting amended Ordinance Number 6584, the salary ordinance for non-sworn employees represented by the Roseville Police Association, as amended by Appendix A to be effective January 13th, 2024, as an urgency measure. May I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I'll have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start a roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes, and this is a huge moment, right, for both our employees in the city and our goal of remaining fiscally responsible in changing times. So thank you very much to everybody who did this.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we will now move to agenda item 9.4, campaign finance reports and filing schedule ordinance amendments. And we'll hear a presentation from our city clerk, Carmen Avalos.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Mayor Haldeshout and council members. I'm Carmen Avalos, and I have the privilege of serving as your city clerk. So tonight, we're going to be discussing the campaign finance reports and filing schedules, and we're looking at ordinance amendments. So if this ordinance gets approved tonight, it will be effective January 1st, 2024. So tonight, for council's consideration, we do have an ordinance that proposes to amend the Roseville Campaign Finance Report and Filing Schedule. And more specifically, it amends Section 2.60.070 and Section 2.80.070 of Chapter 2.60 and Chapter 2.80 respectively. And that's of Title II of the Roseville Municipal Code. Council has two options that are being proposed tonight for their consideration. Option 1 amends the Roseville Municipal Code to have those dates align with the Fair Political Practices Commission's requirements. Option 2 amends the Roseville Municipal Code to have the dates align with the Fair Political Practices Commission requirements and also eliminates 2 pre-election local filing requirements. So just so that we all completely understand what we're discussing here, the Fair Political Practices Commission is the branch or the agency that is tasked with compliance for all campaign filings through the Office of the California Secretary of State. FPPC provides campaign filing schedules that are based on the election date for local and state elections, and those dates do vary based on the date the election is actually scheduled for. Tonight, we seek guidance from the council to address requirements for filing of campaign statements to be aligned with the FPPC schedule and with state law. FPPC requirements mandates that the dates in the campaign filing period by any report begin on the day after the closing date of the last report filed. So, for example, if our campaign filing period were to cover May 1st through June 5th being the closing date, the next consecutive date or filing period shall begin on June 6th, June 6th being the day after the closing date of the first or the last filing. Roseville's current filing schedule, as noted, is scheduled currently to close on December 31st. December 31st of 2023 would be our closing date. The next filing period should begin if we're following the state mandate that FPPC requires for continuous dates, should be January 1st. Currently, our filing cycle begins on February 1st through March 31st, and we have a January omission, followed by April 1st through May 31st, and then June 1st through June 30th. This last section creates confusion and has created many reporting issues, as they are not continuous dates. So let's review the options that council has to consider tonight. So option number 1 would allow us to clean up our current code by eliminating February and changing that date to January 1st so that the last closing date follows. The next date would be December 31st to January 1st. It would also align the dates to be continuous per FPPC requirements and thereby allowing us to be in compliance. Option number 2 would allow us to clean up, again, the dates and allowing us for a continuation from December 31st to January 1st, and would align the dates to be continuous per FPPC requirements and make the city compliant. It would also eliminate 2 local pre-election filings requirements, which are just that, additional filings. And it would minimize confusion for candidates and the public. In addition, it would allow for electronic filing versus a hybrid, which we currently have. Lastly, it would truly streamline the filing process for all candidates and would really facilitate individuals understanding the dates being continuous. So for the purpose of aligning dates with FPPC requirements, eliminating extra local filing requirements, reducing confusion for candidates and the public, and truly streamlining our e-filing efficiency, staff recommends that the City Council consider adopting option 2. Option 2 is ordinance number 6774 and amends sections 2.60.070 of Chapter 2.60 of Title II of the Roseville Municipal Code regarding reporting campaign contributions and expenditures. In addition, it would amend sections 2.80.070 of Chapter 2.80 of Title II of the Roseville Municipal Code regarding reports of contributions received and declaring the ordinance to be effective January 1st, 2024, as an urgency measure. That concludes my presentation, and I welcome any questions from the council.
All right. Council have any questions?
I do not.
All right, I'll open it for public comment. I'll close public comment.
You got somebody coming up?
Sorry. Sorry, Muriel. I wasn't trying to rush.
Did I open the ball, Carmen? Did I? Yeah, okay, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yes. So now I will get to the council, okay? I am totally confused, okay? So that I can understand, if one is wants to run for a position, city position, the filing period for that, for campaign finance filing, would begin on January 1st or would end on January 1st?
So what, and Carmen, you correct me, this is not the filing period, this is the reporting period.
Right, well, that's
Reporting
right, the
period.
reporting.
So at the end of this year, those who have a.
1 week, yeah, in 1 week
Those
or
who
so.
have a report to file in 2024, this will amend that reporting schedule. And in addition, if we take staff's recommendation, the 2 early filing periods for candidates in 2024 would be eliminated, and we would align with the county's schedule for filing of campaign finance reports. Is that,
Yeah, well then.
Carmen, did I miss anything there?
No, that is actually correct. The county does follow the FPPC schedule.
So we would be filing reports, not filing to be candidates.
I understand that, okay. Then wasn't option 1 basically the same thing?
No, if I may, Mr. Mayor, option 1 is basically a cleanup of our current code so that the dates are actually continuous and aligned with FPPC requirement, which tells us they must be continuous.
Oh,
from one report ending to the next report starting.
I got it, okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comments?
Bruce, I do have, when you close, sorry.
Yeah, close public comment, bring back to council for additional questions.
Just because it wasn't listed on here, what is the next filing after June 30?
So that would be July 1st, if the closing period would be June 30.
Okay, and then what's the next one after that? Sorry.
So if we're looking at the 2024 campaign cycle, those dates are already specified by FPPC, and I don't have these here, but I can certainly provide those to you. They will be on our website next month, once we begin our updating all of our information for our upcoming campaign in 2024.
Those would stay with the regular state
Those
requirements
would
then for the
completely align
November.
with FPPC, and again, based on the election date, FPPC does have specified dates for the pre-election, the first and the second reporting cycle.
Questions? All right. Do you want to read the motion from there?
I can, yes.
Okay.
So on item 9.4, the city council will consider option 2, if I'm correct. Is everyone in agreement with option 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. On item number 9.4, the city council will consider adopting option 2, ordinance number 6774, amending section 2.60.070 of chapter 2.60 of title II of the Roseville Municipal Code regarding reporting campaign contributions and expenditures, and amending section 2.80.070 of chapter 2.80 of title II of the Roseville Municipal Code regarding reporting of contributions received, and declaring this ordinance to be effective January 1st, 2024, as an urgency measure. At this time, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Elverd.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Thank you for an excellent report.
So I want to thank you because this is certainly something that I think will be facilitating to all candidates and certainly help streamline the process as we move forward with our 2024 campaign. Thank you guys
Will
very much.
certainly
Thank you very
eliminate
much for that.
confusion.
Carmen?
Streamlining is good.
All right, we've arrived at that point in the agenda where we'll open it for a second round of public comment on non-agenda items. As promised, come on up.
I know we have one.
New one.
Thank you for your patience, Mira.
This has been on the council or the city's table since 2021, so this is coming back. And so just to remind you what it is, it's called the Oak Street Project, okay? And that was the old fire station across the street from City Hall. At the time that it was proposed, it was, when I came to a meeting, it was being put up for excavating is probably the better term, get rid of it and so forth. And I had concerns about that because the city was looking for and hoping for someone that would come along and take that piece of land and make it into something of fruition. At that time, there was plenty of, because of COVID not being too far behind us, plenty of open space, open buildings, still looking for someone to come in. But the city went ahead and approved excavating that. My point was, why not leave it up there until we could get someone to come in and bid on that proposal, not knowing, but you went ahead and approved it. Now, fast forward 2 years later, the only thing that's growing there is weeds and a fence. And every year, we're spending big bucks to get the weeds cut down, which are as tall as I am. And I don't know whether anything is on the table. And I've talked with the project engineer who's been advanced up. He's now up the chain now, Robert Klein, many times in regards to it. I had put forth something as a proposal, and he thought it meant money. No, talk, just talk. It was a proposal in using that space, that site, for a community center, which is what Roseville does not have. We don't have a multi-purpose community center that would have both a community center and daycare, which is vastly needed down here for all the city employees, or something that would be health-related, a drugstore or something to that nature. That was my suggestion. I don't want to say proposal, but suggestion. So my ending my comment, is anything being done with that, or are we going to still keep putting water on it and see how tall the weeds can grow again? And hopefully it is. Or are we still just waiting for a bidder to come along or someone and do something with that site? And the aesthetics of it, you can't have a high-rise there. The aesthetics is pitiful, would be pitiful, in keeping with the rest of the community, the buildings of that community. So
I'll give you a short answer and let the city manager, expand upon it. Yes, there is something in the works there.
Not now. Is public
I'll just mention quickly, there is an update in the manager's quarterly report, which is on the city manager's page on our website, that speaks to that. But yes, to the mayor's point, there was a downtown specific plan process that was done almost a little over 20 years ago now that identified that site, and we're following that plan.
thank you. Thank you. And happy holidays to you.
Yeah, happy holidays to you as well. All right, city manager, anything else?
I did just have one thing.
Okay.
Obviously, happy holidays. But also, I just want to recognize one of our employees for their outstanding efforts, Sean Bigley, our Assistant Utility Water Director. He was recognized as Water Statesman of the Year, which is a pretty big deal from Regional Water Authority. And it was for his work towards a $55 million grant, of which $8 million went to the city of Roseville for our Aquifer and Storage and Recovery Program. So big shout out to Sean Bigley and his work, just bringing a lot of value to the water utility. And a fun fact, our current utility director, Rich Plecker, was the first ever statesman from the Regional Water Authority. So I wanted to mention that. He seemed to left, but I did want to mention that.
You didn't want the attention, evidently.
So thank you, Mayor.
All right. To our acting city attorney.
I don't have any reports, but I do want to take an opportunity just to wish the council and everybody in this room and anybody watching happy holidays.
Right. All right. Councilwoman Rakucci, you want to give us updates, reports on committees you've been involved in?
Yeah, just a couple things. I went to my Placer County Conservation and Flood Control meetings, and they're updating things. They're doing the creek cleanups, both in areas in Placer County and parts of Roseville. And they're also updating some of our mitigations on gauges so that we can better track when there's flooding, or if areas are more intense with rain, and what does that mean for our area. So that's kind of what's been going on with that. Had an opportunity with other council members to see that our community was able to receive funding for glasses through VSP with an organization called Alliance, and Alliance works with a lot of nonprofits, and this was with the help of our Assemblyman, Joe Patterson, was able to help that come to fruition. And so there's like about 40 children that'll be helped getting eyeglasses, and if they need them, and eye examinations. So a lot of them is for foster children and families in need. So that was kind of interesting. Also went to Roseville Cemetery, and they had this, I think it's the third year, Wreaths Across America, where it honors soldiers throughout the history, and even people right now of them working hard to keep our country free. And so that went to that. That was pretty interesting. And I think everybody went to the holiday parade, so you guys can talk about that. Holiday parade was great. It was sad that we had to do a rain date, but I'm glad we were able to do it. A lot of people in town, and it was just a nice opportunity for everybody to get together before Christmas. And I think that's it, and want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll be going into the New Year soon.
Councilmember Mendoza.
I just want to echo Councilwoman Rakucci's comments. That was an awesome parade this year. I think it gets better every year. I know Mayor Howell mentioned during the tree lighting he thought all of Roseville was there. I think the parade this year was a darn close second. I mean, it was very well attended and good to see everybody. I also had an opportunity shortly after our last council meeting, so going back a little while, to attend the Shop with the Cop at our Target over off Fairway. And it's always great to see so many of our local law enforcement agencies join our amazing Roseville police officers in doing the good work they do for those deserving children in our community. It was good to see all those kids trying to, I don't want to say con, because that's definitely not the right word when you're talking to law enforcement, but strongly encourage our law enforcement officers to get the toys over the necessary clothes and other gadgets. So I heard a lot of negotiating. Yes, I heard a lot of unique negotiation tactics by our local law enforcement officers and agencies. So that was I got some new information on how to work with my teenagers when I got home. Definitely some new key phrases. So thank you to all of our law enforcement for doing that. And then lastly, I just want to give a shout out to our city crews. The last couple days, we have had intermittent rain and storms, but the winds have been the bigger feature of these storms and knocking down those last bit of leaves on our trees. And I know many of us have noticed that we don't have the flooding on the major roadways like Sunrise and Blue Oaks and Douglas and those areas. And that's not by accident. That's the hard work of our city crews out there doing the good work they do. So I want to recognize them and thank them for keeping the traffic moving because during this time of year, year. We have a lot of people from outside of Roseville, obviously ascending into our city to shop, which we like to see, and getting them moving along safely and quickly is definitely important, and our crews out there doing what they do help that along. So thank you. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of us up here and to everybody out there in the city. And with that, back to you, Mayor.
Councilman Alford.
First of all, I just want to mention that it's quite a dedication for our city manager to be attending tonight when it's his anniversary. So I appreciate the sacrifice at home
I don't
there.
know, was that a committee assignment you had?
I got to participate in a Pistachio Park design discussion with the community out. It's actually a citywide community. And it was exciting just to watch people get excited about potential future park design coming on the west side for a major citywide park. And also joined in the Creekview Neighborhood Association, just getting updated. Mostly they were planning for their holiday celebration in their community. And this is a very new community, a lot of new residents. And so it's neat just watching them pull together and enjoy each other and get photos. Our real Santa was there. He's making the rounds. Joined the community out with Ruff and our Roseville team planting hundreds of trees out near Nichols Park. Joined a Winding Creek scavenger hunt. Several of us were at the SPCA holiday party, and that was a holiday open house, and that was neat. A lot of the community was there, and that was really nice support for our puppies and kitties that are in need. Got to do something kind of cool. I got to tour the new C&D facility out at the landfill, and this is a brand new high-tech structure that processes our garbage. And C&D is construction and demolition. It's like, the wood and all the stuff when they tear apart a home, for example. But they're going to be using it for the municipal waste, for our black trash cans that go out there while they rebuild the other big facility. So it was really neat going out with staff and just touring and watching the technology. It uses a lot more automated sorting processes than the old system. And went to a school and joined the parks team on a Creekside Park, C63. And this is the Winding Creek neighborhood. They're getting their very first park, and so they were all excited. Quite the discussion that night. A bunch of us went to the Toys for Tots event, celebrating Pauline's birthday and several other December birthdays, and bringing a lot of toys for the community, supporting that. And then I think all of us, all but one maybe, we all attended the firefighters' graduation. We brought in several new firefighters and advanced some. And that was always exciting, watching the families get up and pin them and watching our chief hold a baby. And those are always fun things, just, appreciate what our public safety does for our community.
13 new firefighters.
And then yesterday, as we talked about, a lot of us attended the Roseville Joint Union High School District, the inaugural Student Career and Tech Ed Internship Expo. And so got to watch all these kids that have been interning and preparing for their future. And a lot of them are interning here at the city. And it was really exciting to hear how excited they were about the different departments and how people were helping them and as they try to formulate what they want to do in the future. So that was just really neat. And then Operation Grinch, I'm just excited that our police have really taken a bite out of retail theft, and criminals are just stupid. They keep wanting to come to Roseville and get arrested, so we'll keep doing that, I guess. So anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Bernstein.
All right. Well, our last meeting of 2023.
Yeah.
And usually I talk to my dad every day on the phone, and whenever it's a council meeting and he watches, he always says, well, what's on the agenda tonight? Anything important? And it's like every time we have a meeting, there are really important things, and some are big and some are little. But, looking tonight, I think one of the biggest things that we have done and our staff has done is the contracts. And I think that that's really important, the contracts with our labor groups for the next 4 years. And I think it's one more reason it makes Roseville Roseville. And we really, council can't take any credit for it, really. We give direction to our city manager. and his team and the negotiation teams on all sides. And I think it fosters stability, consistency, trust, and it shows that we're forward thinking and we want to take care of our employees and pay them as much as we can and take care of them as best as we can in a way that is fiscally conservative and fair for all. So I'm really proud of that. We do lots of things in the community in between our meetings and our committee meetings, and I've had several of those, but one, you mentioned the SPCA event, and I was holding it down that night for us at the Volunteers of America, serving that dinner to those. That there are 65 units there off of Sunrise and Madden, and that was really wonderful. It was a wonderful experience, so I was proud to be able to do that. And then the last thing I want to note is that you may remember from the 2022 State of the City that we held. We did have generous community sponsors who stepped up. You remember that the proceeds from that went some to the chamber who put on the event, some to the Reach Fund, and then some of them went to the scholarship fund for the high school district. Well, I partnered this year with Tilton Construction to help raise funds every year. They take on a certain fund, and they picked the Nicole G. Scholarship Fund. So their vendors are still contributing, but at this point, they want to add to it, and they're at over $10,000. So we'll know what the tally is, but that's really wonderful to go to students, graduating students who are considering entering our military.
That's very
So, and the goal would really be to offer a couple to each of our comprehensive high schools, and we haven't had that funding available just yet. So on that note, happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Say hello to your dad.
Yeah, he's definitely watching. Hi, guys. Okay, and so with that.
All right, I'll wrap it up really very briefly, because a lot of the events that we go to together were already covered. My committee assignment is the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency and SACOG. We've had meetings since our last city council meeting on those. SACOG is, they're moving forward, and they will in January finalize what they call a tolling authority, because they have on I-80, if anyone's gone to Davis, where the merger of 50 and 80 is on the causeway, they will have what's called a managed lane. They have managed lanes in the Bay Area and things like that. As part of that, it's a high occupancy vehicle lane, but as part of that, SACOG is interested in putting together a tolling authority, which would initially be Sacramento and Yolo County, since that's where the project is, but it has the ability in future years to expand to include El Dorado and Placer County. And our executive director at Placer County Transportation Planning Agency, Matt Click, came from that background in Florida, so he's in contact with SACOG and very much part of that. So that was that committee meeting. City Manager Casey mentioned Sean Bigley. We did a aquifer storage and recovery well dedication, well number 8. We have a system, now we have like 16 or 18 potential well sites, but we'll be bringing on 2 more, so that'll bring us up to, I think, 9 or 10 out of the candidate sites. And then I know Councilmember Mendoza represents us on RPAL, and Leadership Roseville this year has chosen RPAL as one of their charities, and they're going to be doing, and so I would encourage people to seek this out, they're going to be doing a New Year's Eve party at the House Divided to raise money for RPAL. So they've chosen RPAL as their charity, and that's one of their events to raise money for that. And then, Scott, I know you had a WAPMA meeting between our last meeting and now?
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah.
Okay. I raise that because I think Vice Mayor Bernasconi said this well, we are excellent at communicating where we are all the time on a variety of community and social events out in the community. But I think what the public would like to hear from us, in addition to Vice Mayor Bernasconi's comments about our agenda, is our committee assignments. So if we could, I just want you to consider as we go forward into 2024, whether we focus our comments on our committee assignments that happen in between. We can figure out how to do that. I know the Rockland City Council, they do that at the beginning where they talk about, okay, I serve on the WAPMA board or the South Placer Waste Management Authority. Here's where we are in that. So we could, in addition to demonstrating that we're here more than every other Wednesday, and out in the community very often, we can share with the public some of the things that are happening very briefly. But anyway, consider that for the future year. I wish everybody, thank you everybody for a great 2023. Best wishes, for a wonderful, restful, joyful Christmas season. So with that, we're adjourned till January.
January 17th.
Thank you.